My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubois. And have you ever wondered how dropping out of college and betting on yourself could lead to a successful real estate career? Well, today my guest, Brett Wright from Utah, did just that and has been flipping properties all along for the last 17 years. Brett, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you for that awesome intro.
Well, hats off to ChatGPT, my trusty sidekick, for bringing the noise. So let's 17 years of flipping. But as we were talking before the show, you've been a licensed realtor for a good part of 2 decades now.
Yeah, 22 years. I got started back in 02 part-time, and then 03 I jumped in full-time, dropped out of junior college. I actually got a student loan through a real estate education company and did not go to school, but used that money to invest in the education, and also had about 12 grand left over from that loan to live off for a few months while we got our first flip going.
Yeah. Well, you definitely need a little bit of gas in the tank when you start, because it doesn't happen overnight, but it does certainly happen. So what was the first taste of, well, let's go one step before that. Why real estate?
Great question. So my dad had been a broker. He'd got his broker's license probably back in 86 when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he was selling new construction for 2 of my uncles, his brother-in-law and his brother. And one of the stipulations was, we are not going to hire you until you do a full year of real estate on your own as an agent. And so he did that for a year, and then they said, okay, come sell new construction for us. And he just started killing it. He was their top producer for 10 plus years in a row. About halfway through that period, one of the brother-in-law, they had a falling out with him. That's a long story. So his older brother, Wayne, and himself went into business together. Wayne was the builder. My dad was the boat broker and had a few agents under him. And then I joined in 03 and started selling full-time with them.
What's it like selling new construction?
Well, in a good market, which I experienced up until the market crash, and my uncle retiring about 6 months before that crash, just by luck, it's great. You sit on your butt in the office and people come in and say, I want this model or I want that model. And you write up a contract and you sell them. And my uncle was paying his agents quite well. He was paying us 4.5% commission minus the lot price. So he was paying us pretty well, and it was a great gig until it wasn't. And then you pivoted.
Well, up until 08, right?
Yeah. So he jumped ship and just retired overnight out of the blue, not too long before the market came crashing down. He's call it luck, call it whatever, but he got an
email in the middle of the night. Market will be crashing 6 months. Get out now.
Exactly.
He's like, okay, I'm out. So I mean, that's timing, luck, whatever it is. But people call it people call it a crash. It's kind of a correction, maybe just a large one, because then we all have to just figure out something else to do. If you want to stay in real estate, you got to continue to monetize. And what's nice about a correction is it kind of thins the herd a little bit. And when things turn around, for the people who stuck it through, there's a little bit more grass to eat on the other side of a correction. So how did you navigate that correction because you'd probably been flipping by then, right? You started in 03, 05, you were flipping into the 2008 correction. And then how did that go? How did you pivot?
So we just kept flipping. We were buying at the auction. We were buying short sales. We were buying REO on the MLS. we were buying anyway. I found stuff on Craigslist. We were buying anything and everything that we could find that penciled, right? And like you said, there was a huge drop off of agents and loan officers and just professionals in general in the real estate business I barely made it through. My dad was fine because he had a huge chunk of reserves. But at the time, my young family and we had picked up a couple other businesses, non-real estate related. And we just barely made it through that massive recession, if that's what we want to call it, that correction, and ended up with just some Facebook posts of some successful flips. And that's how I started finding my first capital outside of my dad, with private equity, with private, partners, with private money. And it was kind of off to the races from there. And that was at about 2011 timeframe, 2010, 2011.
And that was a great period to be flipping property, because we're now in the recovery and the rise, straight through to probably about 2016. So a good solid 5 years of wide open spaces and predictable exit ARVs. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you make a bad buy here and there, but if you just did fundamentals, you could probably do fairly well. What sort of volume are we talking about as you're growing this business? Like one a month, two a month, one a year, two a year?
Going back to then to now, when I pivoted in 2011, we were doing, in total, we were probably doing 6 a year. So one every other month, roughly, because I still had some new construction business going on with other builders and just buyer-seller transactions as well that I was doing back then. And owned some land that we kind of flipped, that we held on to for a couple of years and turned that over. But yeah, even now, I would say right now I'm doing maybe 6 to 8 a year, but we're focusing on less volume, more profit. That's just my business model.
Well, certainly Utah is a great place to do that. Average market price, as you're saying, 550. So people are already kind of accustomed to the price tag. If you stretch it to 750, it's just a slightly bigger, slightly nicer. Maybe it's not even bigger, just in a better neighborhood. So what's the inventory like? Because flipping is an inventory game. So would you say Utah is a good space for inventory, or are you finding it challenging to keep that pipeline going?
Yeah, I would say it's very challenging, just because I'm in it every day, and I've created relationships where I've got agents that bring me deals that are off market, pocket listings before they go to market, and they're in bad shape and they know it's going to take a minute to sell it. They would rather just deal with us, prior to going to market. But as far as challenging goes, it's very competitive here. It's extremely competitive here. There are quite a few wholesalers. I probably see anywhere from 7 to 15 deals a week that come to my email,
from wholesalers. So you're
from wholesalers,
deals in quotation marks.
Right.
I'm a wholesaler, but I know that I also know the inside baseball that, like, typically if it's coming from a wholesaler, they've scraped as much as they can take out of the thing. So do you lean on wholesalers to buy, or do you find that your own avenues are enough to keep your pipeline going?
It's both. I buy from wholesalers. I buy from word of mouth. Like I said, agents that have deals that they don't want to take to market. I've wholesaled on my own right around 30, 31 deals over the last few years. So I typically prefer wholesaling it and assigning that contract just for ease, right? If there's a decent chunk of change there. That being said, two of the best deals that I've ever done, I was unable to wholesale and ended up subdividing part of the land and took it and bet on myself. Really, my wife and I bet on ourselves, and we got the land subdivided, sold the home separate from the land, and they were both 6-figure profits, and we spent less than 90 days on both of them. So those were kind of pissed at first because they wouldn't buy from us, and then on the back end it was like, oh, thank you for not buying
Reaffirming
from
my
us.
truth. Remember when I
Right.
told you you could buy it and now you didn't, and now I'm making the money?
Yeah.
Maybe next time you should buy it. So one thing with flipping on for me was managing contractors can be a headache.
Mhm.
Um, how do you find and manage reliable contractors for your projects?
I've been a little bit lucky there because so my dad, the one that was selling new construction, he can build anything from the ground up.
Mhm.
When I was 14, I learned that the good hard way. We had a family cabin. He purchased a lot from his parents up Big Cottonwood Canyon. It's about an 1,800 square foot log cabin, and we built it from the ground up. Me and him, 6 a.m. every morning in the summer for 10 hours. Then he'd come home, change, and go to the office and sell new construction. And so I learned early that he was an amazing contractor, and I've hired him on multiple jobs and partnered with him on multiple jobs to where he does the work, the majority of it, stuff like cabinets and plumbing and some of the flooring he doesn't do, but all of the other things he's able to do and knock it out. I've only had a handful of contractors that aren't very good, but you're right. In my opinion, they're very difficult to find as far as getting really good work on time, on budget.
So yeah, what role has social media played in your business? You know, how do you leverage that platform, Instagram, Facebook, to connect with, investors, also to showcase your project? You know, before the show, you were mentioning you just got back from a video shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so social media way back when, before Instagram was around, I was using Facebook, and basically I would post the results of our flips,
Mm-hmm.
purchase price, repairs, resale price / ARV, and then what the ROI was. And that's how I got my first 120K in private money from a partner. He saw the Facebook post. He called me. He was a high school acquaintance, wouldn't say buddy, but acquaintance. And we met up and talked business, and he jumped on board, and we did, I want to say 10 to 12 flips together before he moved on. And then just in the last couple of years, I try to post every deal, and I get people that text me, email me, whether they want to sell their house or more importantly, they want to, put capital in. I've got a neighbor of mine growing up. He saw one of our posts and said, I want in on your next deal. I've got 120K. If this goes well, my dad and brother would be interested. And fast forward a year later, we've got a total of 250 plus 220. So we're looking at a good chunk of change there that we can use to flip now, just between the three. And it all came because of a Facebook, Instagram reel / post, story, whatever you want to call it, that they replied to. And I've got a few other guys that are in talks right now that want to do it. And this Provo deal that I just mentioned to you, that I did a photo shoot at, I've got over 200K from private money that came from social media as well. So social media is very powerful to do all sorts of raising capital, finding investors, finding partners, actually finding contractors.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't use it as much as I should, which is why I've started doing some video shoots and some podcasts and just trying to kind of up that game.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to balance doing deals and the recording of the doing of deals, and then the distribution of said recordings. It's almost like, my mentor, we had a team. We just had a team. He would stand in front of the camera and then it would all be distributed. So that's one thing that's always tough, is like, it's not obvious that I should be recording this right now while you're in your flip, but documented leadership was the hat that really made it go. So on that note, how do you balance the demands of real estate and your personal life, especially considering, you started at such a young age with that growing family?
Yeah, now it's definitely evolved. I'm on my second marriage now. I'm 4 years in to this relationship, and it's a lot different than the first one. The first one, I had kind of checked out of a relationship as far as that goes. Had a young family, was present when I needed to be present with my kids. Now we have a rule. to where I'm done by 6 p.m. every day, unless,
Mm.
I'm doing showings, which I don't do a lot of buyer stuff anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm done at 6 p.m. After that, we leave work at work for the most part and hang out with my wife and kids, be present. We do the dinner thing. We hang out, we play games, we socialize, we go on walks, we go on, short stay home trip type deals. We go camping and backpacking and be outdoors. And so it's been a good change the last 4 years for sure.
Yeah, making sure that I have another investor friend who has a 4 o'clock stop. He starts really early, but at 4 o'clock, I would know, when we were working together back in the day, I'd be like, oh, I texted him, and, oh, he's not getting back to me. Oh, it's 4:15.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get back to me at 4:15 tomorrow morning when he wakes up to start his day. He starts early, but he's got a hard cutoff, and that's one thing that I think a lot of real estate investors could learn is how to compartmentalize a little bit, because this business can, what's the word I'm looking for? Consume you, and
Right.
consume all of your time. You could spend every minute of every day.
Right.
The market never closes. It can consume your whole thing. So it's good that you've carved out that balance. Now, looking ahead, what are some goals and aspirations for the future of your real estate business? How do you plan to achieve them?
Well, I'm in talks right now with a potential business partner of mine. So I'm part of a men's group called We Are the They by
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Rex. Jimmy Rex was a massive realtor here in Utah and throughout the country for the better part of 15 years. And he shifted and started a men's coaching group, 100% based on integrity and being good businessmen, honest businessmen, and great husbands and community leaders. And I'm talking with one of these guys in my group right now, and he's going to help me launch a wholesaling / flipping coaching program that's tailored to more of a one-on-one. We feel like there's a lot of coaches in the space that are out there pawning off their students to, people that are reading a book, reading from a manual of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
They're not.
What do they call it? Cubicle coaching is the word.
Yeah, there you go. Cubicle coaching. And it's like, I'm not going to operate that way. I haven't hired those types of coaches for myself. I'd rather be one-on-one, even if it means less revenue, but it's more one-on-one, more impactful. And also using that as leverage to get into other markets and do deals in other markets, specifically some buy and hold and some multifamily deals for that passive income. And
is that something you're looking at now? Like, you've been in the business 20 years. You don't, you probably look to be, and maybe guys don't care, but maybe you're in your early mid 40s,
yeah,
something like that.
44.
So
Yeah.
when you're looking forward, now that you've been flipping, because flipping's a treadmill, is buy and hold your retirement savings plan? Is that the idea now that you're pivoting to, like, what am I going to hand to my kids? I can't hand them a flipping business. That's just a job. I'm pretty much giving them a job. They already probably have one at that point. So is that the reason you're moving into buy and hold?
Yeah, correct. And also hindsight's 2020, right? So you look back on all the flips that I've done and with my dad, and it's like, maybe if we would have kept a quarter
or one a year for 20
deals,
years,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I've only been in about a decade, right? I've only been doing this maybe about just shy of, I think it's 9 years now. And
yeah,
you look back at the pricing, that's what kicks me in the ass. You look back at what it is. Oh, you mean I could have bought that house for 35,000 that's now worth 175? Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
And my mortgage would have been like $200 a month, and the rent would
all
be
day long.
1,500 today. Oh yeah. Yeah. But I mean, second best time is now, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, what should they do? How do they find you?
Utah Brett. Utah Brett is my handle for just about every social media, actually every social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, LinkedIn. Utah Brett, very easy to remember. That's where you can find me.
I got one more question that I forgot to ask that I always love to ask. There's something called the unfair advantage. You read the book, Robert Kiyosaki's got something called the unfair advantage. So it's what comes easy to you that other people find difficult to do.
What comes easy to me? I would say networking. Networking is so underrated in my opinion. My parents are always like, how do you get these free tickets to this? And how do you get to go to this all the time? How do you get to that? And I'm like, you network. You go out, you go to Slurry, you go to the real estate investment clubs, you get on the phone, you join a men's coaching group. There's 400 of us in that group, right? All across the country. You do podcasts with other people. You call your friends. You don't have to really try to get a sell out of them. You just call in and check on them. You know, how's it going? It's been a while. Why don't we go double date or something? And it's amazing when you just put yourself out there in front of the world, how many people are actually watching that you have no idea that are watching until they reach out to you and say, hey, I saw this on Instagram or I saw this on Facebook. And you're like, wait, you were paying attention to that? I forgot about it.
I've been watching.
Right. So someone's always watching.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.